Hey everyone! This is Skylar. Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to bring you my April reading wrap up. I know I'm a little bit late as usual, but I like to give myself that kind of last minute time to read right up until the very last day of April. And I'm glad I did because I did finish a book that I was hoping to finish on that very last day. The first two books I read in April are some manga books that I talked about in a previous video. They are from the series Miracle Girls. I have talked about this series a few times. I thought I would get to finish the entire thing in the month of April, but unfortunately I only read books 2 and 3. I am still really enjoying the series. It's gotten a little bit darker. It's about twin girls that have psychic powers, about just kind of their high school struggles, which is pretty fun. And now there's some other psychic characters that are being brought into the mix, and one that might be trying to manipulate them? I'm not sure. I'm really enjoying this series and I'm definitely going to hope to finish it up soon. I might read it this month in May as part of my Asian readathon because they are a manga series by a Japanese artist and writer. The first kind of full-length novel I read in the month of April was Fangirl by Rowell. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I also read Eleanor and Park for the first time this year, and I really enjoyed it, and I decided to read more Rowell this year. And I really am enjoying her writing. I don't read a whole lot of contemporary anymore. I think I used to read more when I was younger, so it's been really fun to get back into contemporary YA. And I found this book super relatable. It's funny because I wish I had read it sooner. The main character is actually going to college the same year in the same time period that I was going to college, which I find really funny. And so it just felt like almost like a little step back into my past and what it was like to start college and just all those feelings. I loved the romance in this novel so much. Kath is just such a great character, and the guy that is the romantic interest is also a really dimensional, flawed, and interesting character, which I love. I love flawed, real characters, and that is something Rowell is just fantastic at writing. I don't know, I'm impressed. I feel like this year I've been reading a lot of books that have been really encouraging my own writing and pushing me to think of how I can be a better writer. I also found like the bits about fan fiction really interesting, so I'm really looking forward to reading the novel Carry On, which is basically Kath's fan fiction. It's like her fan fiction that she's writing in this book is then a novel. That's my understanding anyway. So I'm really excited to read that, and I definitely hope to read that at some point this year. As I've mentioned a few times in my videos recently, I started a part-time job that became a full-time job. It's in retail, which is not something I wanted to pursue, and it is being counted as an essential job. So I've been really stressed and I felt like I just don't have time to read as much as I would like to. So I decided to give myself a little bit of a break this month and read this like super silly fun book from my childhood, and I'm really glad I did because this book, I've looked back on it so many times over the years. It is the one childhood book that I like to keep out. My others are sort of packed away, but this one I like to keep out and I like to look at it every so often. It's one that I quote on occasion because I find it absolutely hilarious. And that is The Stinky Cheeseman and Other Fairly Stupid Tales. Guys, this book is amazing. If you never read this as a child, which it came out in the 90s, so it's possible that if you're younger you might not have, you should give this book, give it a chance. This book is just epic. I was so excited to get it, and I remember just reading this over and over again, and then when I was kind of a young teenager and I started babysitting for some family friends, I read it to their kids, and it's just something that has meant a lot to me for many, many years, and it was just really fun. I read it in one sitting. It's just a hilarious and goofy version of fairy tales. It's so good, and it's so meta, which I find hilarious. Like, the first thing that basically happens is that the main character can't find the table of contents and things are upside down. It's really funny. The illustrations are just super goofy and hilarious. Yeah, this book just means so much to me. I'm gonna love it forever. And yeah, if you haven't read it, you should check it out. I highly, highly recommend this for children and if you're an adult and you just want a really good laugh. So the next book I read this month is a little bit interesting. I kept getting ads on my social media and I kind of thought it was a hoax at first, so I just ignored them, but I kept seeing the same ad for this online comic and I finally was just like, I want to know what this is. So I Googled it. It seemed like a pretty harmless, like it's an app you can get or you can view them online. It's called Webtoons, the one that makes it. Let me know below if you've ever used Webtoons, what you think of it. I'm pretty sure it's safe. I don't really know what I'm doing ever, but I finally kind of gave in because there was this one that kept showing up that actually looked kind of interesting. So it is on Webtoons and it's called Midnight Poppy Land. The main character's name is Poppy, so I think that's part of it, but I don't know why the midnight and the land part are involved. But it's called Midnight Poppy Land, and it's by this artist who goes by the name Lilydusk, and they have an Instagram and everything, but there's nothing else really about them. I don't know who they really are. I don't know what country they're from. I find it really bizarre. It's definitely a guilty pleasure to read. It's a lot of cliches. It's a lot of tropes just kind of thrown together in this sort of nondescript setting that could be, like, honestly, it could be the States. It sort of looks like a city in the United States, but it also could definitely be in Japan. Like, I feel like it could work if you thought of it as, like, maybe being in Tokyo. However, the characters kind of speak like they're British, so I don't know. But it's an incredibly addictive series and it's being released weekly. So now I'm hooked on this story. I've read the first 26 chapters because that is what is out right now. It is just all like reading a comic. I find it more like reading a manga actually. Like I said, it's kind of weird, but it's really addictive and it's a guilty pleasure and I'm just enjoying it. It's been a long time since I've read something just for a laugh and just to like just enjoy it. It is just kind of this like overfraught romance story. The main character is a writer, so I find it kind of relatable. She's sort of small and people think she's cute and younger than she is, which I also relate to really hardcore. So that kind of pulled me in. And then it's sort of this like element of danger because the guy that she's interested in is like some kind of bodyguard who maybe also is in a gang. This story, guys, like I'm half like really enjoying it and half just laughing at how ridiculous it is. But anyway, I really like it. The art is really beautiful, and if you're in just for a guilty pleasure, I do suggest it. It's a lot of fun. But the last book I read this month was an audiobook, as I am trying to listen to audiobooks while I'm on my work breaks. I decided to do something that I said I would not do, guys. So you should be really proud of me, even if you kind of hate me for not liking this series, which I've talked about in a few videos. So a couple years ago, I read the first book of the Mortal Instruments series, The City of Bones. My cousin has been wanting me to read it for years. It is her favorite book series. And so I finally read the first book and I didn't really like it that much. I'm sorry, guys. I know everyone's really disappointed in that. But my cousin's been pushing me, you gotta read the second book, you gotta read the second book. And so I actually do own a copy of the second book because she gave it to me. And she knew I wanted to get these sort of older versions. I really like the old covers better than the new covers. So that was really, really sweet of her. And I've been hanging on to it because I thought, you know, it's a gift. I don't get rid of books that are gifts. Like, I couldn't get rid of this book. So I saved the first two books, even though I kind of felt like I might not read on with the series. I felt pretty strongly, actually, about not reading on with the series a couple years ago. But I decided to give this book a chance as an audiobook so that I could just listen to it for enjoyment while I was on my work breaks, and it was enjoyable. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's an entertaining series. It's got some nice action, it's got some nice dialogue. Some of the things the characters say are so corny. Like, they're obviously supposed to sound cool, and maybe they are things that would have sounded cool in the early 2000s, but I find myself laughing at things that I don't think are actually supposed to be funny in these books. So that is entertaining, even though it's probably not what the author intended. But hey, these books haven't like aged incredibly, like, I will say that. Unfortunately, I do find myself getting really frustrated with the fact that there's not a very good kind of feminist quality to these books. You know, the main character is a girl, but she surrounds herself with boys and men and basically is always searching for their approval. Clary, the main character, she just hates all the other women in her life, and I get really tired of it. Like, we have Isabel, who's a shadow hunter, and immediately she's like, Isabel's so pretty, I hate her. And then we have Maya, who is a werewolf, who comes into the second book, and there's one point where she's like, yeah, Maya should be ugly. Like, why? Like, she's like, I'd like her better if she was ugly, because she's too pretty. If she's a werewolf, she should at least be, like, hairy or something. I was like, what? Like, some of that kind of stuff is so negative and so toxic, and I really worry about how it affects young girls who are reading this and can't see that that type of thinking and hating other women instead of building them up, it's not okay, and it makes me sad if anyone's feeling that way, because it creates a lot of negativity and a lot of even self-hate. On top of that, my other problem with this series is the incest. Everyone, I think, at this point knows about that. If you don't, maybe skip over the next, like, 2 minutes or so, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit if you don't want to be spoiled. But basically, Clary, in the first book, finds out that the love interest, Jace, is actually her brother. And my cousin really kept telling me that things aren't as they seem, and that I was gonna find out what the truth was in the second book. However, that did not happen. It's been a while since she's read it, so I think she's a little askew on the timeline. Like, basically at the end of the book, Clary is going to tell Jace, like, I don't care, you're my brother, I still want to be with you, I still love you. And I'm just like, what? Like, that is so upsetting. Like, the whole book, she's kind of trying to deal with these feelings she has and, like, cut them off and treat him like a brother. And then at the end, she's like, no, I love my brother. I can't. It gives me such bad feelings to even talk about. Even to say that out loud bothers me, because I have a brother. And I can't even imagine thinking that way. Ew, guys. Ew. So gross. So anyway... that really gives me, like, the heebie-jeebies, and that was not resolved in this second book. I'm embarrassed to say I've read 2 books that have all that weird incest in it, so I kind of want to read the third book just so I can feel, like, resolved, if maybe that's when it is revealed that perhaps things aren't as they seem. I'm gonna be really upset if they actually are siblings, guys. I can't. I thought my cousin was kind of hinting to me that that's not true, but now I'm really worried. I don't know. I think at this point I am hooked enough that I just kind of want to know a little more, so I probably am going to keep listening to the audiobooks. It is a fun kind of distraction for me at work. And yeah, I'm gonna take maybe a break this month because I am really focusing on the Asian readathon, but I think I will read the third book. So guys, maybe this series is growing on me a little bit. I liked the second book slightly more than I liked the first book, but I'm still super bothered by the anti-feminist behavior and also the incest. So unfortunately, I feel like a little bit of a disappointment because that is all I read this month. However, like, that doesn't seem like that much. But I am on track for my Goodreads goal of reading 50 books this year, which I know isn't that much. Like, I know there are a lot of people on BookTube who read like over 100 books, and you guys are amazing. Like, please tell me your secret because I don't know how you do it. Part of me is hoping, because I'm actually a bit ahead of my goal of 50 books, part of me is hoping I will surpass that actually. So I have high hopes. If I do surpass it, then I will set my goal higher for next year. In the past, I've had a hard time even reading 50, but you have to understand that I've been in school for a lot of the past so many years, and it is really hard when you have a lot of assigned reading and writing assignments to also read like over 100 books. So unfortunately, I haven't even really been able to break 50, and so this year is looking super promising, and I'm really excited and I'm feeling really encouraged. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like seeing what I read in April. Let me know below if you read any of these books and if you liked them, how you felt about them. I'd really enjoy to hear what you think. And I really hope you will tune into my next video, subscribe to my channel, give me a like, give me a comment. I really love interacting with you guys, and it would mean a whole lot to me if I continue to have these great conversations that I've been having so far on BookTube. Also, check out my Bookstagram. I've been really upping my photography game, so I'm having a lot of fun with props and taking even better pictures than I've taken ever before, I think. Have a good rest of your week. Bye!